Let's talk about cruises. For a long time, I had this image in my head, probably the same one a lot of you have. I pictured floating retirement homes, endless buffets, and maybe some cheesy evening entertainment. A cruise was something my grandparents would do, not me. I thought it was confining, a bit dated, and definitely not the kind of adventurous travel I craved. Well, I decided to finally test that theory, and I'm here to tell you I was wrong. So wrong. Cruises are not what I thought they were. They are not floating retirement homes. They are floating cities. Think about it. You have everything you could possibly need, all in one place, gliding across the ocean. The scale of these ships is something you can't truly grasp until you reach standing on the deck, looking out at the endless blue. They are marvels of engineering, designed for comfort, for entertainment, and most importantly, for exploration. One of the biggest myths is that you'll feel trapped. The reality is the opposite. It's incredibly freeing. Do you know why? You unpack once. Let that sink in. For anyone who has dragged a suitcase across cobblestone streets, repacked every other morning, and lived out of a bag for weeks, this is revolutionary. You settle into your cabin, which becomes your home base, your sanctuary. You put your clothes in the closet, you set up your charging station, you make it your own. And then you get to wake up almost every single day in a new country, a new city, a new port, without ever having to pack that suitcase again until the very end. This brings me to something I've been thinking a lot about lately: midlife travel. Travel in your 20s is often about budget hostels, overnight trains, and seeing how much you can cram into 24 hours. It's brilliant, it's chaotic, it's a rite of passage. But travel in your 40s, 50s, and beyond? It's different. It's not about roughing it anymore. It's about ease with dignity. It's about wanting to see the world, but also wanting a comfortable bed at night. It's about savoring the moments, not just collecting them. And this is where cruises absolutely shine. They understand this desire for comfortable, organized, yet deeply enriching travel. Imagine exploring the ancient streets of Rome all day, soaking in thousands of years of history, getting lost in the crowds, eating incredible pasta. And then, instead of navigating a complicated public transport system back to a tiny hotel room, you step back onto your ship. You have a quiet dinner, watch the sunset from your balcony, and fall asleep in a comfortable bed, rocked gently by the sea. The next morning, you wake up in Florence or maybe Naples, ready for a whole new adventure. Let's dive deeper into the destinations because that's the heart of travel, right? A cruise isn't just about the ship. It's a key that unlocks multiple destinations in a single trip. And we're not just talking about a quick photo op. These are opportunities for deep storytelling. Take a Mediterranean cruise, for example. In 1 week, you can trace the path of ancient empires. You might start in Barcelona, Gaudi's whimsical playground. You're not just seeing the Sagrada Familia. You rehearing the story of a man who dedicated his life to a vision so grand he knew he'd never see it finished. You walk the Gothic Quarter and feel the layers of history, from Roman times to the Spanish Civil War, under your feet. Then you sail to Marseille, the oldest city in France. You can almost smell the 2,600 years of history in the air at the viewport, the old harbor. You can imagine the Greek sailors who first landed here, the traders from across the sea, the stories of plague and prosperity that have washed up on these shores for centuries. It's not just a pretty French port. It's a crossroads of civilization. A day later, you're in Italy. Maybe you're docking near Sanctiro, those 5 impossibly beautiful villages clinging to the cliffs. You hike the trails connecting them, and the guide tells you how these communities were isolated for centuries, how they developed their own dialect, their own way of life, all centered around the terraced vineyards you're walking through. You taste the local wine, and suddenly you're not just tasting grapes. You're tasting the resilience and ingenuity of generations. And then there's Rome, the eternal city. You can visit the Colosseum, and it's not just a pile of old rocks. You stand there and you can almost hear the roar of the crowd, the clash of gladiators. You walk through the Roman Forum and you're standing where Julius Caesar walked, where senators debated the fate of the world. It's a powerful, humbling experience that connects you directly to the past. The cruise facilitates this journey through history. It provides the context, the story. On board, there are often lectures and talks about the history and culture of the places you are about to visit. You learn about the Renaissance before you see Michelangelo's David in Florence. You learn about the volcanic eruption that buried Pompeii before you walk its preserved streets. This turns your trip from a simple sightseeing tour into a rich educational experience. It gives you perspective. You start to see the connections between these places, how art, politics, and trade flowed across the Mediterranean, shaping the world we live in today. But it's not all serious history lessons. There's a lightness to it, a humor. There's the joy of trying to order gelato in broken Italian. There's the funny moment you realize you've been walking in the wrong direction for 20 minutes. There's the shared laughter with fellow travelers over a glass of wine as you recount your day's adventures. These are the moments that make travel memorable. And that brings me back to my main point. The most radical thing about a cruise, especially at this stage of life, is that it gives you permission to rest. We live in a culture that glorifies being busy. We feel guilty for taking a break, for doing nothing. On a cruise, rest is built into the itinerary. The days you spend at sea, sailing between ports, are not wasted days. They are recovery days. They are days to read a book on your balcony, to sit by the pool, to get a massage, to just watch the waves go by. This isn't laziness. It's strategic recharging. It means that when you do arrive at the next incredible destination, you're not exhausted. You're energized, you're present, you're ready to absorb everything it has to offer. You can walk that extra mile, climb that extra tower, because you had a day to rest your feet and recharge your soul. You get to have the adventure, and you also get the recovery. It's the best of both worlds. So forget the old stereotypes. A cruise is a dynamic, comfortable, and surprisingly profound way to see the world. It's about unpacking your bag once and your mind 1,000 times. It's about finding ease with dignity, adventure with comfort, and the freedom to rest without guilt. It's about connecting with history, with culture, and with yourself. If you've been hesitant, if you thought it wasn't for you, I encourage you to look again. You might just find that the city on the water is the perfect way to explore the world on land. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this different perspective on travel, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories. See you on the next journey.